Yes, the Casanovians. Yes, the Casanovians. All right, lads. In this one, what we're going to do is I'm just going to give you tangible, practical things that anybody can do to make cold approaching women 94% easier. So these will work even if you're a complete beginner, even if you've got lots of anxiety, even if you just wanked yourself off into a sock like I used to do. By the end of the stream, you're going to have ways to make this thing that we call cold approach, which is just starting conversations with women who you don't know, how to make that 94% easier. Now, before we go balls deep into this topic, what I would suggest, if you're new to this channel, download my free courses. So, first link below this video, you can access my free courses completely free, and they'll give you everything you need to get started and get results from daytime cold approach. Even if you think you are too introverted, even if you think you're too ugly, even if you think you're too old, whatever your self-limiting beliefs are, Conversation Killer, my free course, is a complete A to Z blueprint. So there's over 4 hours of instructional video material. That is the course that I wish was available to me when I first started cold approach. So it's completely free. You might as well download it. First link below this video. That's a lot more coherent than these streams. Okay, so things that you can start doing today to make cold approach 94% easier. The first thing you can do is begin to starve yourself, okay? So I stay fasted for 24 hours, okay? And I find that when I'm in a fasted state, and by the way, this is just things that have worked for me. I'm not saying this is what's going to work exactly for you. There might be some things that you like, some things that you don't like, but I would urge you to try everything to actually see what works for you. But I do most things now in a fasted state. So I do these live streams in a fasted state, I cold approach in a fasted state, I wank in a fasted state. And I find that when I am in a fasted state, it increases my mental clarity. Yeah, because I know for me, if I eat any type of food, especially if I eat carbohydrates or a big meal, then I feel sluggish. I feel lethargic. It almost dilutes my desire to dominate the day. And I've found for myself that when I am cold approaching, I want to be in this heightened state of mental clarity where my conversations feel sharper. I don't feel as though I've got as much anxiety ruminating around me either. I just find I'm more on it. I feel better in a fasted state. And the more I've shared this with my clients or friends of mine who also cold approach, they've tried it out and they said, oh, well, like not only do I feel like have more mental clarity, but I'm losing weight as well. I'm getting more lean. My face is getting more chiseled. Because you burn a lot of calories when you're cold approaching. You're going to be doing a lot of walking. But I find for me, if I'm in a fasted state, my conversations and my mental clarity is better. I find that as soon as I've had something to eat, it almost says to my mind and my body, we can relax now. So that's the first thing that I would suggest. If you feel as though you've plateaued at the moment, if you feel as though your conversations are a little bit lethargic, if you're struggling with any form of brain fog when you are in your conversations, just try it out. Go out the next time you cold approach, just be in a fasted state and see how that makes you feel. Again, this is just something that's worked for me. It might not work for everybody. The next thing that I would suggest, this is really, really practical. The next time you go out to cold approach, aim to do 10 approaches minimum, okay? This is really important for guys because a lot of guys don't understand the importance of volume, or what I would term conscious volume, okay? A lot of guys completely misunderstand how many reps it's going to take to actually get good at cold approach. And also, the thing is, a lot of guys go home before they've even found their flow. So my advice to, it doesn't even matter how long you've been approaching for, my advice to myself when I go out there to approach is accept that the first 3 approaches, they're just throwaways. They're just designed to get yourself into the game. But the problem that a lot of guys make is they'll do 1 or 2 approaches. They don't feel as though they found their flow yet, and then they'll go home. Maybe they had undesirable reactions for the first 2 approaches, or maybe they tried to approach but the girl disappeared, or maybe they were going to approach but then they talked themselves out of it, they chickened out the approach, and they end up getting more and more stuck in their head. They might go home, they're thinking about the failed session for the entire day, and the problem is they've just not give themselves enough time to find their flow during the day. The analogy that I always use is imagine you're going to the gym to train shoulders. And imagine you get to the gym, you do one set of 5 kg side lateral raises, and then you go home straight after that. It's like, dude, you've gone home after the warm-up set. And it's the same with cold approach as well. So I would say if you're anything like me and anything like the guys who I work with, you probably want to become a social savage, right? You probably want to enter this social god mode where you can approach any woman, anywhere, anytime, not giving a flying fuck what people think about you anymore. Well, this doesn't happen by luck, it happens by design. And really, the best piece of advice that I can give to you, just stay out in the field until you've done 10 approaches. Because usually by approach 6 or 7 for me, this is when I feel my best. This is when I feel as though I'm in that conversational flow. Even, for example, even when I start these live streams, like when I start these live streams, I'm a little bit clunky. I'm still trying to get my thoughts together. I'm trying to almost transition from work mode to social mode because actually I think just as a little tangent, I think this would be very useful for guys. I've had quite a logical day today. I've been doing a lot of writing. I'm creating different ad creatives on Instagram. I've been going back and forth over messages with my business partner. I've had quite a logical day today. So when I had the thought of doing this live stream, I was like, oh, fuck, I need to do the live stream. I don't feel as though I'm in a social state right now. And this might be something that you're battling with at the moment. If you're an analytical, logical guy and you're spending a lot of time behind the computer screen, the thought of going from work mode to social mode, that can feel quite daunting. But the best advice that I can give to you is, even though the first 3 approaches might not be that great, you're using these approaches to find your flow, okay? And understand, you don't need to feel social to have a conversation. A lot of guys think they need to be in a hyper-social state before they can approach a woman. But this is why I say to guys, warm up on yourself first. If you've just had a really logical day in the office, you've been responding to emails, maybe you've been doing some fucking code and it's just boring, like just boring work, right? And you feel boring, your energy feels flat as flat pack. Best thing you can do, or what I do, is I just start forcing myself to get my vocal cords firing. So I'll send voice messages to my clients. I'll make these videos outside in public. Anything you can do to get your vocal cords firing. It might be a case of 5 minutes before you do your 10 approaches, just making a video like this. If you work from home, then just get your phone out, just make a video diary to yourself. Like, set the intention for what you're gonna do in the session. This is what I did when I was first learning cold approach in Leeds, and I didn't have any wingmen, I didn't have a community, I didn't have a coach. I just used my camera and I use an air purifier as a tripod. I just made these video diaries to myself. I would set the intention, and this would allow me to get into a more social state before I actually went out there to approach. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, if you are a logical guy and you've got an analytical job and you're spending a lot of time on your own, you feel quite introverted, just keep in mind that you're not gonna feel social until you start having conversations. Warm up on yourself first, awesome, but also just give yourself grace at the start. Even for me, even the level that I've got to with cold approach, my first 3 approaches of the day are typically shite, but it's almost like discovering your own approach to approaching, right? So you might have a similar trajectory to me where the first approach you do is not that good, second one, it's okay, third one, a little bit shit. But I just laugh my way through these sessions now. I don't attach too much importance to how the first 3 approaches go. And I find doing that, it helps to just take the pressure off you at the start. Because cold approach is fucking hard, dude. Especially if you're working a full-time job. You've probably got other commitments going on in your life. Like, just having the balls to put yourself out there when you could be doing so many different things. These are the people that sometimes I respect the most. Like, I went to the park the other day, and I saw this guy, and he was jogging. He was jogging around the park. He was fat, like just a fat guy. And I was thinking to myself, do you know what? Even though this guy is fat, he could have decided today to be anywhere else, right? He could have decided to just stay at home, binge watch a Netflix series. He could have gone to the local bakery and stuffed his face with fucking Krispy Kreme. He might do all those things after the park run. But I was like, do you know what, mate? Fair fucking play. You could have been anywhere else, but you decided to get your ass to the park and waddle around for an hour. I actually respect that. So if you've got every reason right now not to approach, but you're still putting yourself out there, you're still doing your 10 approaches, you're still recording the audio of your conversations because you've got this obsession with progression, and you understand it's not just about getting women, right? It's the most aggressive form of self-development on the planet is daytime cold approach. And once you've done 100 daytime approaches, maybe you've got numbers, maybe you've got dates, maybe you've got happy endings, maybe you've been blown out every fucking time. Really, the reps are the reward at the start. So I think that's important. When you are going to go out and you're going to do a session, aim to hit 10 approaches minimum, yeah? Because if you go home prematurely, you're not giving yourself the opportunity to find your flow. And this is where accountability comes into it as well. Like when I started, I was solo. I didn't have any wingmen, I didn't have a community, I didn't have a coach who was giving me that loving kick up the arse. But the deeper you get with cold approach, you realize it's not a solo sport, it's a team sport, and also it's an extreme sport. Thank you to Joseph for that banger of a quote. So having accountability is great. If you've got a wingman in your city, another thing you can do is tie in consequences as well. So if either of you pussies out of an approach, then you have to give the other one 50 quid or you have to buy drinks at the end of the session, whatever it is. A lot of times, guys don't lack confidence, they lack consequences. So how can you make cold approach impossible for you to fail? Like what forms of accountability can you layer in so failure isn't an option? I would call that burn the boat strategy. This is what we do inside the entourage. So Saturday, that's usually game day. That's when we've got all of our guys from the entourage approaching in 5 different continents all across the fucking world. Everyone's checking in the private WhatsApp group. They're sending their voice messages. They're keeping people up to date with the session. They're setting the intention like, right, lads, gonna go out today, 20 approaches. I'll keep you updated after every single one. Some of our guys send social freedom videos in at the start of the session. So they'll go into their city center, they'll record a 2-minute video of themselves in a busy area. They don't want to do it, they don't like doing it, they would rather not be doing it, but they put it into the group. So we've systematized accountability in such a way that it's impossible for our guys to fail, because then they have to like if they didn't do the thing that they said that they were going to do, they then have to show up on the weekly group coaching calls, and nobody wants to be that guy who bailed. Nobody wants to be the guy who pussied out of the thing that he said he was going to do. So this is where that healthy male competition can kick in. So if you've got somebody in your life right now, you could say to your friend, hey, Pedro, I'm going to go out today. I'm going to do 10 direct call approaches. If I don't do it, I have to, and then insert consequence. So yeah, a lot of times you don't lack confidence, you just lack consequences. So how can you make it impossible for you to fail? But 10 approaches minimum, all right? If you've done 10 approaches in the session, you'll understand what I mean. The first 3 approaches, usually shit, that's okay. By the time you've got to approach 10, you recognize the way you start isn't the way you finish. And it's the same with going to the gym as well. When I first get to the gym in the mornings, sometimes I'm not really feeling it. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'd rather be doing something else. But by the end of the session, I'm grateful to my former self that I went. So yeah, 10 approaches minimum in a fasted state if possible. That would just, for me, just gives me more mental clarity. The third thing that I would suggest that you do, this is more if you're advanced. If you've done at least 100 approaches now, you feel as though the game's starting to get a little bit boring, maybe you've plateaued. What I would suggest to you is do the hardest approach first, because what that'll do is it'll make all other approaches feel easier in comparison, right? Now, obviously, hardest approach, that is down to the individual, whoever is doing the approaches. Yeah, if you're a complete beginner and you've not done an approach before, then your hardest approach would be to just do one approach. Like go over to a moderately attractive woman and be like, excuse me, you look incredible. What are you doing today? Oh, I'm going shopping. Awesome. Have a good day. But if you are more advanced, then start off your session by approaching a big group of girls, or maybe the hottest girl, or maybe a girl who's with her mum, girl who's with her parents, girl who's with her dad, approaching a girl inside of a shop. Whatever you think is difficult for you, start off with the hardest approach first, because what that'll do, once you do it, it'll give you this massive spike of excitement. You'll feel alive. You'll have this adrenaline surging through you. This is what I did. When I was learning cold approach in Leeds, I remember approaching a girl who was with her friend always used to scare the shit out of me. So I made a point one day, all I would approach is girls in groups. I mentioned yesterday, the first group approach that I did, girl who's with a friend, well, it turns out they were both fucking lesbians. But yeah, it it was good to know. I think with cold approach, it's almost like jiu-jitsu where you just rise the ranks. Do you know what I mean? Like, first of all, you can't approach anything. Then single girls become easy. And it's like, okay, how can I elevate here? It might be a girl who's sat down on a bench. It might be a girl who's walking fast. Define what is difficult for you and then just set an intention the next time that you go out to do that approach first. Because once you've done that approach, all of the other approaches will feel piss easy in comparison. I guess it's like going to the gym and just lifting the heaviest weight first, which I wouldn't recommend that you do, but all other weights would then feel lighter in comparison, if that makes sense. So do the hardest approach first. That's more so if you've got a bit more advanced. If you're completely new to cold approach, I just said download Conversation Killer, my free course, first link below, and that'll walk you through all of the infield drills that I would suggest that you do if you're new to it. The next thing that I wanted to say is, before you approach, be in some form of high frequency state. Now, I appreciate this isn't always possible. If you are a busy guy, you've got a lot going on in your life, finding the time to approach, I do understand it. But I found the best approaches that I've done have been when I wanted to do it, right? I do think there's a time when you're first learning cold approach to just get your ass out the door, no matter how you're feeling. Like, you just need reps. You need an immersion period. I would say, if you are doing it on your own because you're some crazed masochist, then you need at least a 90-day obsession period where you're doing minimum of 20 approaches every single week. Because the more you open, the more you close. But at the start, you're not doing it to get women. You're doing it to get the skill. Right? The guys who do the best with daytime cold approach, they're the guys who start off not by prioritizing the women, but by prioritizing the skill. Okay, becoming the version of themselves who cold approach can work for. Because when you are first starting, especially if you're doing it on your own, it can feel terrifying. It can feel daunting. You walk out into your city center, you feel like you've got this like dirty secret, right? Oh, it's like, oh, people know what I'm doing. They're gonna find me out. It's like there's so much shit going on in your head. But if you're in a high frequency state first, and what I mean by this is you just feel good in yourself. So what I traditionally like to do, and what I tell my guys to do as well, is before you even go out to approach, do something that makes you feel good. For me, it's doing martial arts. It's going to the Muay Thai gym, doing my 90-minute training session, sweating my absolute tits off, having banter with the coaches as well, just having that healthy male camaraderie. And then I go out and I feel social. I might be training heavy at the gym. When I lived in Leeds, what I used to do was I used to do hill sprints. I had this hill that I'd go to, 10 sets of hill sprints, put me into a high frequency state. One of our guys over in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, he did this the other week. He was training for his marathon, he was doing sprints, and after his sprint session, he was just approaching these absolute worldies on the beaches of Brazil. And the approaches went really good. And he was like, lads, this is awesome. This is like a cheat code. Do sprints before you approach. You feel like an absolute beast. So yeah, get yourself into a high frequency state first. Whatever way you achieve that. It might be a cold shower. It might be dancing around your apartment. It might be, what else do people do? For me, it's physical training. Physical training allows me to get rid of the bullshit that's ruminating in my mind. And then, I don't know, I just feel better when I'm out there in the field. So yeah, if you're in a high frequency state first, where it's like you don't need anything from the approaches because you feel good. And I find that when you are in that state, the approaches, they just feel a lot easier. So yeah, be in a high frequency state first. This is a good one actually. The next thing is, I would say, using cold approach as a warm-up for what we would call night game, okay? So even though I would not consider myself as a night game specialist, what I find is daytime cold approach is an amazing social lubricant, right? So what I mean by that is if you've got, let's say, a party or a social event, or you're meeting up with some people later on in the day, let's say 7:30 p.m., then what can be good is you use cold approach as a way to get yourself into a social flow state. So by the time you get to the venue, whilst the rest of the people in the venue need 5 shots of Sambuca just to start feeling themselves, you're like right there, like fresh out the blocks. Do you get what I'm saying? So you can actually use daytime cold approach. Here's what I would do. Let's say it's a Saturday, right? Saturday is usually when guys are hitting it hard. What I would say is if you've got something scheduled at, let's say, 7 p.m. on Saturday, do 10 direct cold approaches during the daytime. And it's like you're not even doing these approaches necessarily to get the girls' numbers. If you do, what you can do then is be like, hey, Susie, me and my friends are going to go to this place later on, 7 p.m. You should come. You should invite your friends as well. So then you can start playing more of a social orchestrator rather than just the same old shit where it's like, hey, you look good, let's go out for drinks. Oh, you can't do that day. Oh, maybe this day. Instead, what you can do is you can start to merge social ecosystems. So if you've got friends in your city, if you've got things that you're doing, if you've got an interesting lifestyle, then rather than just taking the number and bouncing, just invite Sexy Susie to something that you're already doing. And also, the beautiful thing of doing that is the date is then not dependent on her inclusion. It's like, hey, I've got this cool thing that I'm going to be doing with these cool people. You should come with me. If not, no problem. I'm going anyway. So there's less pressure on the date invite. And also it's cool to just raise your, let's say, status. Because it's like, oh, this is a cool guy. He's going to cool places with cool people. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Nice. So that's something else that you can do as well, is you can use daytime cold approach as a precursor into your social antics during the evening. Those are actually some of the best days. I would call those Renaissance days. I remember when I was first learning the skill, I was first on the rise, I would have these crazy weekends in London, usually with my clients at the time. And we would go out, we would hit the daytime session hard, probably do like 30 approaches in about 4 hours. And then, I don't know about you, but after I've done lots and lots and lots of approaches, I feel crazily socially energized. Like if I've gone out, I've done 30 approaches in 4 hours, especially if I've got another guy with me as well. Like that really is, I'd say, the cheat code. If you've got a guy who is either on your level or a little bit better, you'll have the best cold approach sessions, you'll get the best results, but the results won't even matter by that point because you're just having so much fun. This is what we do inside the Entourage. We provide the most capable wingmen on the planet, and then we have in-person meetups as well. I remember when we all got together in Barcelona at the start of this year, it was like 7 or 8 Entourage guys in Barcelona. It wasn't even about the approach anymore, it was just about how much fun were we having, just pushing your mate into an approach, just like pushing each other into approaches, just doing some stupid like social freedom stuff. This is how I'd say you get results from cold approach. It's how can we make this so fun? It would be impossible to be inconsistent because at some point, if you are the solo operator right now, you'll realize it's fucking boring. It's fucking brutal. It's just lonely. You're just going out there every single week, doing your approaches. One of our guys inside the Entourage put it perfectly. He was like, it's not that I necessarily needed a wingman. It's I wanted somebody else to be a witness to my success, right? I think that's a big missing piece for a lot of guys. Is you're going out there, maybe you're doing the whole self-improvement thing right now. You're training at the gym, you're building your business. But a lot of times, guys feel lonely, not because they don't have people, but it's like you don't have people who understand what you're doing and can be a witness to your success. So that's what we do inside the Entourage. It's like, hey, let's go out, let's approach, let's talk about approaching, but also, hey, I'm building this business, or hey, I just closed this high ticket client, or oh guys, I've just left my job. I've left my 9 to 5. Like cold approaches give me the belief that I can do anything now. So it's like, I think if you can find ways to just make cold approach fun, it doesn't have to feel like this strategic military operation. Oh, must go out, must do 10 sets. It's like, after a while, dude, it just gets a bit fucking weird. So yeah, if you've got great guys around you who can hold you accountable, who can push you, but who can also make it fun. When I had these days in London, because I've got a good network of guys in London, you know, I'd go out, we'd do our daytime sessions, and then we'd all meet up in some grotty London pub at the end of the night. And it didn't matter where we were. Like, it didn't matter where we were. It just mattered, like, who was there. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you rock into the venue, 30 approaches under your belt, you feel like an absolute social weapon. And it's like, I don't know, it just feels great. I like to use daytime cold approach as a precursor into the rest of my social activity that day. So that could be something that's enjoyable for you as well. The next thing, which we talk about a lot, but obviously people are new to this channel, so I think it'd be quite useful to give you this absolute nugget of wisdom, is approach MILFs, right? If you're completely new to cold approach and you've got a shitload of anxiety, you don't feel like any woman's ever going to want to fuck you, start off with older women, right? Hashtag MILF shakes, right? The most popular videos on my channel are of me approaching MILFs. One of them has like almost got 500,000 views, for fuck's sake. So the reason for this is because when you are first learning cold approach, it's scary as shit, right? And you might not have the gusto right now to go out there and approach the certified stunners. So what I did when I was first learning cold approach, when I was a fucking porn addict with erectile dysfunction, I just started off approaching MILFs, right? I just go into Leeds city centre, I'd find some moderately attractive middle-aged lady, And I'd just flirt the pants off. I'd be like, oh, you know, you look fantastic. And she'd be like, oh, that's so nice. I'm married. I'm like, you're married. Wow, that's so great. You know, if you weren't married, we would have gone to Barbados and had buckets of booze together. Like whatever random shit I used to say. I was looking back at some of my old infields the other night. Because what I want to do is I want to make like a new series of videos where I'm reacting to my old videos. I think it'd be really funny. I think it'd be really entertaining. But anyway, I was just pissing myself laughing when I was watching myself back in my old infield. I didn't realize what I used to do. I always had this bad habit that I'd accuse every woman I approached of being suspicious. It was so funny. So I was watching myself back approaching, and I just knew it in myself. I was like, right, Christian, you ran out of shit to say, haven't you? I knew what was coming. I was like, oh yeah, you look suspicious. You like you're about to go on a jewelry heist. I was like, it literally makes no sense. It's like a woman in a pink flamingo jacket. Nothing about her looks suspicious. But yeah, I just used to use that back in the day. When I was watching a lot of like the old school like pickup guys, it was like, oh yeah, you know, accuse girls of being suspicious, like use this like wild imagery, like she's some fucking cat burglar. I don't know, but I can't remember the point of that. Oh, MILFs. So when you're first starting out and you've got lots of anxiety, just approach middle-aged ladies. Like they've probably not been approached in a while, and also they take themselves less seriously. They've got skin in the game. They know you're not fully serious a lot of the time. I mean, I actually do enjoy #milkshakes. But the good thing about these approaches is you can build your confidence here, and you can build it fast. And then you can take that playfulness. You know, the playfulness. If you're flirting with a woman and she's married, she's 45 years old, she's got a family at home, you know it's not going anywhere. You know it's not serious. It just takes all the pressure that you might feel to have to perform, and it just feels fun. It just feels easy. And then what I would say is you can build confidence with the older women and then transfer that confidence onto the certified stunners. So your cold approach session might look like first 3 approaches, you approach middle-aged ladies, you get over that initial resistance to approach at the start of the day that everybody feels, and now you feel more socially warm and you feel less resistance to approach. You can take that feel-good energy onto the women that you actually like. So that's a great way to schedule your session. This Saturday is first 3 approaches, #milkshakes. Now I feel better. Now I've got some confidence. Now I can go approach Sexy Susie on her way to Shoreditch. Great, instant date, let's go. That's another thing that I suggest that you start doing as well. Go out without a phone. Just go out one day. Don't take your phone with you. Allow cold approach to become a meditation. No distractions. And just aim to get instant dates. It's like instant date or nothing. Once you start to get more advanced, like I work with a guy and he's like super advanced with cold approach, and he's always looking for ways to just make it more exciting for himself. So he's like, yo, I'll go out without a phone, instant date or nothing. And that can be good as well. I think the first time you get an instant date from cold approach, it just feels fucking magical. A lot of guys don't even think it's possible. A lot of guys don't think that you can just approach a girl, have instant chemistry, and then just pull her on a date there and then. It feels great. It feels like an absolute G move. So, you know, if you're somebody at the moment and maybe you feel as though you've hit a plateau, you feel as though the numbers that you're getting, they're all flaking, not going anywhere, just get rid of the number. Instead, just go for the instant date. Something else that our guys in the entourage are doing, shout out to Luke for inspiring this, is he doesn't even text girls anymore. Instead, what he does in his cold approach conversation, he says to the girl, listen, I'm going to call you. I'm going to give you a call at this time. Be ready to answer the call. So what Luke's done, and a lot of the other guys in the entourage are doing this now. Here's some like secret entourage sauce. A lot of our guys, they don't even text anymore. They just call. They just call the girl. So it's like they'll have a conversation, they'll get the contact details, and then they'll call her later that day. It feels a lot more polarizing. It feels a lot more ballsy. You can often find yourself just, I don't know, like when you're going out there, you're getting lots of numbers. One of the worst feelings is just like not getting any responses back. That is a rite of passage though. Obviously, if it keeps happening, like if you keep going out there and you keep getting phone numbers, but the phone numbers are not converting into dates and beyond, then you're doing something wrong. Okay, after a while, you need to be no bullshit with yourself, right? Let's say you've done 100 approaches. Now, let's say you've done 300 approaches and got 50 phone numbers. None of those phone numbers responded to you, or maybe a couple did, but let's say none of them translated into dates. Then you need feedback, dude. Like, you need to find out where you're going wrong, because at the moment, you don't know what you don't know. Because you think that you're making progress, you think you're succeeding, but really all you're doing is collecting phone numbers that go nowhere. So after a while, you do need to start focusing on the results. For the first 100 approaches, give yourself grace, the reps are the reward, yada, yada, yada. Then you have to understand why you're actually doing this. It's to live a rockstar dating life. It's to expand your options. It's probably to meet somebody. You probably want a girlfriend or a wife. So if you keep getting phone numbers and they keep flaking, then stop convincing yourself that you're making progress. There's clearly blind spots that you've not addressed in, let's say, your game. And until you address these things, you're going to continue to get the same results. I can't remember, Hormozi's definition of learning is something like same conditions, different behavior. Same conditions, different behavior. So yeah, you need feedback. Get somebody to give you feedback. Record the audio of your conversations. That'll give you a point of reference. But a lot of times, guys record the audio of the conversations, but they don't have a fucking idea what to actually listen back to. But yeah, if you're getting lots and lots of numbers, not going anywhere, you're not getting results, you're feeling fucking frustrated, you're starting to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is this for me? Am I just wasting my time? Pretty much all the guys that I worked with have gone through that phase, but we just fix it fast. So I'll listen into the conversations, I'll be like, dude, you sound like you're carrying a lot of sexual shame in the conversations right now. You're going in there, but you're being too pleasant rather than polarizing. So we can pinpoint exactly what's going wrong. That's how we turn decades into days. But if you're doing it on your own, you need a point of reference. If you've got people in your life as well, not cold approach friends, if you just got healthy masculine men in your life who can give you no bullshit feedback, get them to give you no bullshit feedback on the way you look, the way you dress, the way you present yourself to the world. All this stuff matters. Do you have an Instagram? Is it good? Are you taking all your numbers on WhatsApp? Like, there's so many reasons why cold approach might not be working for you, but there's always things that you can do to fix it, okay? But you do need feedback. You need either people who are non-cold approach friends, or if you've got a wingman, just get him to give you feedback on your conversation. Be like, right, give me feedback on my body language, my conversation skills. How long are you waiting to text the girl? Ideally, text her within the first 2 hours of getting the number, or you can just bypass all that altogether and just give her a call instead. We started off there talking about MILFs, but anyway, yeah, approach MILFs. The final thing that I wanted to give you, by the way, if this has been valuable so far, drop it a like. I just want to give you as much sauce as possible because the weekend's coming up, so I think it'd be great if you go out there this weekend. Just get yourself a date. That'd be one more thing that I'd say to you as well before we go into the final thing, is go out with the intention of getting a date, right? If you've done 100 call approaches, you're ready to, you're ready to start having conversations that convert, then don't go out with the mindset of, I'm going to approach. Go out with the mindset to get a date. And if you've got a form of creating consequences for yourself as well, like if I don't get a date this weekend, I need to give my mate 50 quid, then you're more likely to get it. The mistake a lot of guys make is they end up becoming these, I would say, hit and runners, where they become very good at opening, they become very good at being pleasant and starting conversations, but then the conversations don't go anywhere. So having the intention to get a date is a subtle energetic shift, but it'll allow you to show up more deliberately. Because I think a lot of guys, they're sleepwalking their way through life, they're living like accidents, they wonder why they're not getting the result that they want. A lot of time it's just because you have the wrong intention when you're going out there. Don't go out just to approach, go out with the intention of getting dates. And when you're in your cold approach conversation, talk about the details of the date. Don't just be like, oh yeah, I'll get your number, we'll do something. It's like, no, I want to take you to my favorite restaurant this Saturday, 7 p.m. Cancel your plans, wear your best dress. Be more specific, because people are less likely to bail on plans they've already mentally committed to. So you want to be focusing more on investment compared to attraction in the cold approach conversation. Investment oftentimes does beat attraction, okay? So you want to be getting investment, you want to be getting commitments. Find out what a schedule is, tell her to cancel her plans. Get super crystal clear on where you actually want to take her. Because if you have these vague plans, you'll get shit results. So really dial in the details of the date during that conversation. Download Conversation Killer as well. It'll give you everything you need to get started if you are new to cold approach. And the final thing that I wanted to give you is approach 3 days in a row. Okay, this is really for guys who want to get good fast. What I would suggest for most people is having an immersion week. So taking 7 days off work, doing 15 approaches every single day for 7 days. By the end of that 7 days, you've done 105 approaches. Congratulations. You're now in the rarefied realm of men. You put yourself out there 105 times, record the audio of as many of these conversations as possible, iterate every single day. But even easier than that, approach 3 days in a row. So if you say Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever fits your schedule, 10 approaches each day, so let's say 30 approaches a week. What I found when I was first starting cold approach, I would go to have these weekend sessions in London. I'd be approaching upwards of 80 women in a single weekend. But what I found was by day 3, I felt like a social weapon. Like even my first or second approach of the day, it was a lot better in comparison to my first or second approach on the first day. So I find for myself, just being immersed in an activity for at least 3 days where cold approach, that became the focus. Now, it was different for me because I knew that I wanted to make a career out of this. I wanted to coach it. I wanted to become the best in the world at daytime cold approach. So I was hyper obsessive. But a lot of the guys who choose to work with me, they're like that as well, right? They have this obsession with progression. I don't see the point in starting anything properly unless you're prepared to become the best in the world, unless you're prepared to go all in. You know what I mean? So I think whether it's martial arts, creating content, cold approach, is like, I'm not there to just be a static spectator. I'm there to be an active player. Like, I'm hyper competitive. I've got this insatiable drive to compete and to conquer, and I crave challenge. So if you approach 3 days in a row and you go hard with the approaches, then you'll find you start to develop what I would call like a cloak of social invincibility, where it becomes a meditation. Cold approach for me has often felt like therapy, where it's just you on the streets, walking your way through a city. Most people are just glued to their phones, not even taking in the city. I think that's actually a really beautiful benefit of cold approach. I don't know if you agree with this, but when you cold approach, it's like the whole city, it like becomes alive again. You know what I mean? It's like you're not just like this NPC who's walking around sedated to the screen. It's like you're taking in the city, you're getting your steps in, you feel healthy, you're doing lots of walking. I think it's the perfect way of meeting women, especially for entrepreneurs, business owners, digital nomads, guys who enjoy having a healthy lifestyle, don't want to be spending like late nights in nightclubs. I think doing something like daytime cold approach is great for your mental health. I think you have to accept at the start you are going to get rejected a lot, which for some guys is difficult to stomach. I do get that. But once you start to develop proficiency and you are getting results, you are having conversations that convert, yeah, you'll still get a lot of blowouts, you'll still get a lot of fucking rejections, you'll just get women who are not into you. The city just becomes alive for you. I think it's rare to find guys who've got the ability to travel and also can cold approach to an elite level. Pretty much all of them are inside the entourage. The entourage is filled with entrepreneurs, business owners, digital nomads, world builders, visionaries, creatives, pirates, renegades. It really is the best network on the planet for guys who don't just want to get good at cold approach, but want to almost get to an unnecessary level where it's just like social weapons, social mavericks, can go to any city, anywhere, anytime, approach the hottest girls, have conversations that convert, just, I don't know, just living that like James Bond-esque lifestyle. I think it's fucking awesome. But yeah, approach 3 days in a row. That'll allow you to start to develop a social flow. And by the day 3, as long as you've been consistent with it, you'll start to feel in this like hyper drive where you'll actually look forward to the approaches as well. It's like, oh, I'm actually looking forward to this today, which is nice. So we've gone over, I was only meant to do 17 minutes on this one, but fuck it. If you've enjoyed this, drop it a like. If you want to go even deeper, then download my free courses. I'll link it underneath this video. I'm doing a live stream every single day until my birthday on the 12th of January. And yeah, I'll speak to you boys again tomorrow. All right, love you. Bye.